Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Goeiemorgen Molweni. A very warm word of welcome to you on this nice and cool morning, which is a very different morning to the mornings that we've normally had in this venue over the last number of years. It's always been a sweltering hot day, occasionally with a roaring southeaster. Now it's a lovely cool day. The other difference is that we normally have about 200 people in this venue, stacked in. Today, we have a very different award ceremony, unique in many ways. And so let us not lament the sadness of the difference. Let us celebrate the uniqueness of this occasion, which will be remembered for many, many years by everyone concerned. I want to welcome all of you to this unusual celebratory event, where we celebrate the wonderful achievements of our learners and our schools in the 2020 National Senior Certificate Examination. It's unusual because of the COVID protocols. It's unusual because not everyone can attend. It's unusual because we have had to, of necessity, select and invite a number of people to represent and serve as a proxy of our schools and our learners' excellence. It is always so that even the award winners of this event are indeed a proxy of the excellence of education in the Western Cape. Welcome to those who are also following this event live on our YouTube streaming channel. Another unique first event. Due to COVID-19 protocols, this function can only accommodate 100 people. Sadly, but uniquely so. To those who are present at the event, we request that you also observe the COVID protocols in terms of ensuring your distance and wearing masks at all times to cover your nose and your mouth. We will request speakers to remove their masks and hopefully also put them back on in an elegant way, so that people that are hard of hearing and lip read, for example, are also able to follow the events clearly. Colleagues, we also ask that you would not congregate and socialize closely. And unfortunately, at the end of this event, there will not be the normal grandeur and splendor of a lunch. We will, at the end, announce a slightly different engagement. I want to extend a very special word of welcome to the following guests. It's always strange to welcome the Premier, Premier Alan Winde, and his wife, Mrs. Tracy Winde, to this event. After all, it's their home. And so thank you very much that we may welcome you and that you again make this event available. I want to welcome Minister Debbie Schaefer, well-known, always here, great supporter, amazing leader of education in this province. She's the Minister for Education in the Western Cape. I want to welcome the Provincial DG, Mr. Harry Malila, and also, who is here physically, and also the National DG, Mr. Matanzima Mweli, and other national guests, representatives of Umalusi, and they are tuned in via live streaming on our YouTube channel. I also want to welcome the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Education, Mrs. Lorraine Buerta, who is always a loyal supporter of our education events, and members of the Standing Committee. The representatives of the various teacher unions and education organizations that have really rallied in the last year in our frequent engagements to ensure that education runs smoothly and that we pull out all the stops in the amazing and challenging year that 2020 was. I also want to welcome officials of the Western Cape Education Department, comprising of our EXCO members who are here today, our top management and the district directors, most of whom are attending the event virtually. Please allow me also to welcome today Mr. Brent Walters, the HOD designate. Mr. Walters, if you don't mind just standing for a minute, please. Mr. Brent Walters, HOD designate for education. He will become accountable on the 1st of April. And he's using the opportunity to delve deeply and understand the breadth and the depth and the complexities of education. Welcome also to this event, Brent. Special greetings also go to our school principals and teachers who have worked tirelessly in 2020 under stressful conditions to provide quality education to our children. We apologize that you are unable to attend this function in person. I want to pay a special tribute to the thousands of teachers and principals that have done amazing work, that have done work in a different way, that have been innovative, and that have been exceptional in ensuring not only that the matrics of 2020 achieved the results that they did, but also that schooling across this province could continue in the way that it did. I salute all the teachers and all the principals of schools in the Western Cape. Well done. Special greeting to the many awardees that cannot attend this function in person, and a warm welcome to the candidates who are attending the event together with their parents. Welcome to our sponsors, represented today by the MTN Foundation, and we welcome that Ms. Kusili Mtunzi Herwatsi is here. A great pleasure to have you here again, ma'am, and thank you also for the sponsorship of our sponsors. Also, Mustech South Africa and Pearson South Africa, our loyal and regular sponsors, and welcome to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my great privilege to introduce to you the Minister of Education in the Western Cape, Minister Debbie Schaefer. I would argue that she needs no introduction simply because she is well-known, well-versed, well-seen, well-spoken, and a tower of strength for education in this province. I would find it strange if anyone were not aware what she looked like, what she says, and what she stands for. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Debbie Schaefer.
Thank you very much, SG. You can hear he's retiring now. He's saying such nice things about me. Thank you, Brian. I was going to have half a page of protocol acknowledgements, but given that SG's done such a good job, I hope you'll forgive me for not going through them all again. You all are most welcome. Premier, Mrs. Windy particularly, thank you for making your home available to us. So I think let's just get straight into the address. As SG says, I think a lot has certainly happened over the last year. And we can see the results of that in this rather unusual format of our award ceremony. And for once, I'm really happy that it's not so hot. So that's one advantage. I do know that some are disappointed that they cannot be here personally today, and I completely understand and empathize. But I am grateful for small mercies that we could at least have 100 people here instead of the 50 that we were going to be allowed a week and a half ago. Those of you who have been at this ceremony regularly will know that I love Dr. Seuss. And normally his quotes are nice and rhyming, but I found one that doesn't rhyme, but it was particularly appropriate for the last year. And it says, when something bad happens, you can either let it define you, let it destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. The COVID-19 pandemic certainly counts as something bad. It has wreaked havoc in so many ways. In addition, it has also had the potential to destroy the academic year, as it has in many countries. Fortunately, the majority of our departments, schools, and learners had no intention of giving up without a fight. It is through their incredible effort that we managed to do as much as we did, especially for our matrics. Yes, our pass rate did decrease this year, and we fully expected this, given what a disrupted year it was. Yet this was the smallest decline seen by any province in the country, demonstrating our ability to limit the fallout from the pandemic. And despite the challenges, we still saw some wonderful improvement in some areas. I'm very proud of that, and I believe that we all should be. Our bachelor's pass rate, one of the indicators of education quality, increased this year to the highest level yet. 43.8% of our candidates met the minimum standard for university admission. In fact, all of the learners who passed in the Western Cape achieved either a bachelor's, a diploma, or a higher certificate pass, meaning that every one of them has access to some form of higher education. A number of our learners received Top Achievers Awards from the DBE when the National Minister announced the results 2 weeks ago. Sonica Roo from Otanikwa High School achieved 3rd place in Quintile 5 and nationally. Ayabukwe Nombela from Manzomtombo Secondary School placed 2nd in Quintile 3 in the country. and Sonia Jemima Jonkus from Jan Kriel School received a special ministerial award. Congratulations to each one of you. Our mathematics pass rate, another measure of quality, also increased this year, as did our mathematical literacy pass rate. The DBE's top 2 spots for mathematics were also won by Western Cape learners again. Daniel Alvain Goos from Hermanus High School achieved the top results in the subject, followed by Vera Naidu from Rondebosch Boys High School. This is the second year in a row that the top 2 spots have gone to the Western Cape. So let's go for a hat-trick class of 2021. The SG loves cricket, so we thought that was particularly appropriate. I am, however, disappointed in our low participation rate in mathematics, which is a continuing source of concern, and also physical science, and for the decline in the physical science pass rate. Given our province's excellent performance in the Trends in International Mathematics and Science study for earlier grades, we must translate this into better results at the matric level. This is why our focus on the STEAMAC skills our province needs is so important, and we will renew our efforts in this regard. Mr. Walters. No pressure at all. Our districts also performed well this year, with the Metro North District achieving our top result of 85.1% and moving into the list of the top 10 districts in the country. Well done, Ms. Horn, who took over the reins from Mr. David Miller less than a year ago, for already delivering and building on his excellent performance with her hard-working team. Well done, Ms. Horn. We also welcomed 2 other new district directors this year, very recently, Mr. Jules Jonkus in the Eden and Central Karoo District, and Ms. Landeka Diamond in the Metro East District. I look forward to seeing what they will bring this coming year, and I've seen some positive changes already. I also want to congratulate the Metro Central District for managing to increase its pass rate during a pandemic to 82.8%. This is a very bittersweet moment, as we were learned last night that District Director Sinet Novus has passed away. I would at this point like to ask that we stand for a moment of silence in recognition of that. Thank you very much. While we celebrate the pass rates achieved by the province and districts, we also know that there are many ways in which provinces can artificially inflate them by losing learners who are less likely to achieve along the way. One major avenue for this has now been closed with the end of the multiple exam opportunity option, which saw some provinces delay more than 20% of their learners from matriculating. Fortunately, the Western Cape was not one of those. We believe in achieving good results the hard way. I'm encouraged that despite a global pandemic, our throughput rate from grade 10 to 12 also increased this year and remains the highest in the country. More of our learners are moving from grade 10 to writing the matric exams within the expected 2 years than anywhere else in the country. Our goal will always be to ensure that more of our learners have the opportunity to write and achieve their matric qualification on time so that they can move on to higher education or employment. As I said earlier, when concerns were initially raised about a novel virus that might arrive on our shores, we could not have imagined the havoc that it would wreak on our education system. And as weeks turned into months of schools being closed, things were looking increasingly bleak for our children. Various so-called experts decided that schools should stay closed for longer, and there were some who called for the scrapping of the academic year entirely. But our intrepid SG Brian Schroeder summoned his resolve and all his years of experience in education and firmly maintained that we would reopen schools and we would complete the academic year. We faced strong opposition on almost every decision taken, but they were the right decisions and took great courage and leadership to make them. SG, no matter what some people may say about people above a certain age, you have worked harder and longer hours than many half your age. A huge congratulations must go to the whole WCED team for getting through the last year as well as we did, whilst keeping our schools safe. Our children in our province will thank you for it in the years to come. I also offer a special thanks to our curriculum and e-learning officials for how they have handled the challenges of the pandemic. You've gone above and beyond what we could have expected in terms of making content accessible and easy to follow for learners and parents during lockdown and beyond. Our e-portal is a national treasure now, which supports learners from other provinces as well. And as we catch up the curriculum to ensure our future matric classes are prepared for grade 12, you had 29,000 teachers connected to online sessions recently, as you work through the adjusted Term 1 teaching plans. These are world-class interventions that I am proud to say are being driven by the WCED. And while we are onto acknowledgements, I have 3 special awards of my own today, and I know this is going to completely freak out the exams team and the awards team because they don't know about them. But it's important to say that I think we need to acknowledge the contribution of 3 very special individuals in our senior management team, to the WCED as a whole and to the NSC exams in particular. All 3 are retiring this year and will leave a huge gap in the department. The first is Ms. Tina Singh. Where is she? Is she here? No, she can't sit at the back. Tina? Tina is one of the main reasons our matric exams run like clockwork every year. On time, with no leaks in our province for a long time. I don't think anyone actually can imagine the amount of work that goes into this process. She, like the other 2 recipients, has not had a December holiday for more years than they care to remember. And poor Tina couldn't even have hers mid-year last year because COVID put a stop to that. Tina, I want to thank you for all you have done for the WCED. We will certainly miss your diligence and your calm professionalism. Please will you come and collect a special award from me for a job well done, and so you can see what it's like to actually receive a certificate for a change. We also say farewell to Dr. Peter Beets this year, who has served the WCED for 6 years, bringing his expertise from the University of Stellenbosch. I forgot to say that Tina has served us for 14 years and the public service for 40. Dr. Beets has led a team of curriculum and assessment officials that has done incredible work this year and every year. Your expertise, where are you, Peter? Your expertise, really, your dedication and your kindness will be sorely missed in the WCED. And I wish you a happy, healthy retirement with your family. Please come and collect your certificate. And then we have our SG Brian Schroeder, who is leaving with 46 years of service to the WCED, 20 of those being involved in the NSC exams. SG, I must say, I will miss your constant support, your kind humor, your wealth of experience, and above all, your deep passion for quality education. At this event especially, I will miss the special pen for signing certificates and the instructions to be careful not to smudge, even after I've been doing it for 6 years. SG, thank you for your many years of service to our schools. Thank you very much. That's a lot of experience leaving us this year, I can tell you. I also do want to extend my special congratulations to Brent Walters, his successor. You have big shoes to fill, but you have already started doing so with great gusto. And I look forward to working with you in the years ahead. The work of these officials would not have translated into good results for our learners without the phenomenal teachers of the Western Cape. Our school staff set aside their own fears to return to school because they know full well that schools are not just places where children go to learn, they are vital sources of support and safety. While we celebrate the efforts of our staff, we are also keenly aware of those we have lost this year in our schools, offices, families, and friends. And I offer my deepest condolences to their families, colleagues, and friends. I'm also keenly aware that the parents of our learners have had a steep learning curve this year, having to get to grips with remote learning along with their children. I also think they've developed a very healthy respect for what our teachers do every day. And when schools stayed closed while the economy reopened, parents had to juggle work responsibilities whilst helping their children keep up with their schoolwork. The success of our matrics would not have been possible without your support. I have a special vote of thanks for our Premier, Alan Winde. He has led from the front in all aspects regarding the COVID crisis, but especially backed our department's efforts to get learners back to school safely and supported our decision to provide emergency takeaway meals to learners during the lockdown. It was the right decision and one we could not have made without your support, Premier. Congratulations also to you on matriculating yourself. Now that both you and Tracy have both children finished school and doing very well to boot. I also want to reiterate the thanks to our sponsors, MTN and others that were mentioned, for their support of our learners. But for all the efforts of our staff and supporters, we would not have made it through without the hard work and perseverance of our learners. Matric is stressful enough at the best of times, and even more so during a pandemic. When endless extensions of the school closure were announced, our matrics could have given up hope. How could they get through the work on time? And yet, they did not. Our matrics decided to make history, not as the class whose matric year was lost because of COVID-19, but rather as the class that showed us just what it means to never give up. I was very pleased to join the matric class of Ellswood High School as they received their results this year. The school, under the leadership of new principal, Mr. Kivit, increased their pass rate by nearly 30%, while increasing the number of learners writing very importantly. The school is in a tough area with serious social challenges, but the learners I met were determined not to let this hold them back. Their results show that no matter what your background is, if you really want to make it, you can. And in a short while, I will again announce the winners of a ministerial award this year, which we do every year after receiving nominations regarding inspirational matriculants who have faced enormous challenges, and this year is no exception. The COVID-19 pandemic makes their achievement even more remarkable. They have inspired me, and I'm sure they will inspire you too. For those learners who did not achieve their matric, please don't give up hope. There are supplementary exams taking place in June this year, so you have the opportunity to improve on the results that you received. You have until the 31st of March to register for them. Please do so. And remember Churchill's famous saying, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. It is likely that we will see further waves of infection and more disruptions this year, unfortunately. And I want to urge our class of 2021 to prepare for this. You need to keep up with your schoolwork and revision every single day, rather than waiting until the end of the year. The work you do right now will make the difference come November. And do not take a single day of teaching and learning for granted. But let us now celebrate the class of 2020 and all those who helped them get there and who did not let this pandemic define or destroy them. At this point, I would like to introduce the Premier. Also, doesn't need much introduction at all, I don't think. He's only been Premier for what, just over a year, but it feels like about 10. I don't think any of us could have anticipated what we would have to go through this year. Premier is down to earth, on the ground, people's person who has really led us as a team through this very difficult time and will continue doing so. Premier, thank you for what you're doing for the province, and please would you come and address us.
Minister, thank you very much for those kind words. Can I say to you, to the SG, to the chair of the standing committee, to the DG, to the incoming head of department, most importantly to those gathered here today to receive an award, to those of you that are tuned in, a very good morning. Molweni, goeiemorgen. It is really great to be here. I must say, Minister, when you announced those awards of yours or recognition to people retiring, I thought about the incoming head, and I was wondering, you've kind of cleaned the decks here, either to give him a clean slate, but then I quickly checked with the SG, and of course, Brent, you are taking over a department of over 32,000 teachers, 40,000 staff altogether. So you also have a very deep pool in which to pull together a team as we move forward from here. But of course, that's into the future. So let's just reflect on this year that has just been. And I think in line with what has been said here today on this platform before me, 2020 has been an unbelievably challenging year. And as you heard, Tracy and I also had a daughter in matric. So I can in some ways feel for all of you on what you went through. I think one of the toughest years to write matric of all time. But amazingly, how all of you have come through with results that we measure, which are some of the best results that we've had as a province. So in a really tough year, if ever there has been a year of matrics that has actually risen to the challenge, it has been you. And so congratulations. You really do make every single one of us so proud on your achievements, despite this absolutely horrendous year that we all had to face. But a year that was full of challenges, and I'll speak just now for me, a year that was full of innovation, despite all of the loss of loved ones, the loss of jobs and employment opportunities, the loss of so many people in our own very government, the loss of so many teachers. And we are mindful of everyone who has suffered in this year. But I think not only recognizing, and of course today that is what it's all about, is recognizing the best of the best in our province and doing it here year after year. Also hearing that reflection, it is amazing to stand here today and to look at this socially distanced tent and think back to last year with, first of all, it was a bit more uncomfortable with all of the heat, so it's a much nicer day in which to do it. But of course, we are in this absolutely new normal. This time where we've got to adapt, where we've got to adjust. And I think this new normal and this adaptation epitomizes what you did in achieving what you managed to achieve during this year. So it is to recognize each and every one of you. But I also want to use this opportunity to stand here and recognize not only you, but recognize your parents, those people that supported you in getting your matric. I want to recognize the teachers, the education department, the ecosystem that is built around each and every one of you to enable you to get your matric, to move on in this milestone, to set you up for the next stage of your lives as you start to choose those pathways that you are going to play and the part that you're going to play in the future of our planet, in the future of our country, in the future of our province. And so thank you to everyone who's helped you get here. I want to also say that looking at the results, I am very happy that our future is in such good hands. Because if you can come through a crisis like you have, then I know that we have an outstanding future here in this province. I also want to say that it has been a hectic year, not only for matriculants, but for every single resident of this province, every single resident of our country or our planet. It has been that one of those years that have come to test us. And I mean, people liken it to a war. We have quotes from Churchill. We've gone through, and we are still in the middle of a pandemic that is testing every single one of us. But besides the loss, besides the real sort of tough part of last year, what really stands out for me is the innovation, the excellence that came out of this adversity, the triumph that came out of these challenges. And I think none so as this department. But before I get to the department, I want to just recognize one or two of those innovations just to sort of set that scene that came out of this province in the last year. Things that stand out for me. In our health department, I think of so many people prior to this pandemic, especially elderly people, especially people with comorbidities, be they diabetics, be they people with high blood pressure, whatever that health comorbidity is. They would be up very early in the morning and they would be out to our clinics, queuing long hours, spend sort of from early morning until after lunch in the hot sun so they could get their medicines. For us, in our health department, that was a massive risk because you don't want people with comorbidities and elderly people queuing when you've got a COVID-19 pandemic facing you. And so an innovation was born through partnership, and the Gates Foundation, Uber, NGOs on the ground, health NGOs, and our department started delivering medicines to those people at their homes. People who were at risk were getting medicines at their home. This innovation to date has delivered more than 1.2 million medicine parcels to citizens across this province. An innovation that I promise you, if we'd asked for it, if I'd have mentioned it in the speech without anybody knowing it, saying this next year we're going to deliver medicines to people with comorbidities in our province, we would probably still be planning. But in this time, people stood up, and we celebrate these kind of innovations. We can't slip back. We've changed people's lives. I think about the red dot taxi system, where normally government and the taxi industry are always at each other's throats. The taxi industry are telling us that we're regulating too much, we're restricting routes too much, we're charging them too much for their licensing, we're fining them when they're breaking the rules. We're always at each other's throats. During this pandemic, the transport department and the taxi unions got together, built a partnership so that we could get our nurses and our frontline staff to our hospitals and clinics during curfew safely so that they could care for our citizens. And of course, back home again. We didn't want health workers sitting in public transport after coming out of a COVID ward and a full day's work. We would put them at risk, but we would also put citizens at risk. And more than 110,000 nursing trips later, our nursing staff and our frontline staff were transported to and from their places of work safely in this partnership. And only last week did we launch now a blue dot taxi system where we were trialing 1,200 taxis across our province, doing a trial where we're going to start putting a program in place of behavioral change, a system where taxi drivers will operate on a point system, and if they get full marks, they get a subsidy. And I'm pretty certain that learning and this innovation is going to change the way this public transport component of our public transport system offers better, more efficient, more effective, more cost-effective and safe public transport. And these are the kind of innovations that come out of a time of crisis. And of course, then there's the education department, who again, as you heard from the minister was talking about how this department, despite lots of pressure, continued with making sure that you, the learners, you, the matriculants, and of course every single learner in our system was able to continue, get an education despite all of these pressures. When pressure was put on us to keep schools closed, we based it on science, we based it on evidence, we made our decisions, and the department made sure that we were able to open our schools safely, efficiently. As the minister said, we kept on feeding people because so many people in our province rely on a meal when they come to school. It's important that they get a meal so that they can learn, but in this pandemic, more so than ever before, when people were actually put under such pressure because so many jobs were lost, so many people were put under pressure, families under pressure that they couldn't feed them, families or themselves, and our young people were coming to school and getting a meal, despite lockdowns and all sorts of other pressure. And thank you very much to the department. We the citizens of this province, really appreciate the innovation, the ability to stand up and make these tough decisions and see it through. But of course, it goes much further than that. For me, it's about projects like the SG and I and the minister were talking about earlier, where on the back of our broadband rollout, which we're now sitting at 1,297 schools connected on the back of the broadband project, which has been running for a few years. And these are exciting projects because, of course, we're moving all of our schools into this next digital age. Of course, the pandemic came along and everybody was at home and not at school that was connected. But of course, I'll tell you a little bit about some of those innovations as well. But we've now got 58 schools in 8 districts who are using this backbone so we can start sharing classrooms and sharing best practice. And that for me, I know it's still in the pilot phase, but these are innovations and exciting programs that actually say, well, we are doing all sorts of things to try and make sure that we continually improve our ability to create the best opportunity we can for our young people so that they can play that role that we all need them to play in the future. Perhaps the last thing on the rollout of our broadband, and DG was saying to me when we were doing the State of the Province address out in Genadendal, where our schools are being connected at 100 megabits per second, but we had a little trial when we were at that school out in Genadendal, and they got 1 gig per second. And all these schools that are connected, by October next year, DG says to me that all our schools are going to have 1 gig per second connectivity. Now, you see, when you make a speech like this at the podium and you reference the DG with a promise, now, of course, it is cast in stone. No pressure, DG. But, of course, these innovations continue. The work that you've been doing around collaboration schools, and I see you adding another 2 collaboration schools, so it'll be 13 plus 2 in our province. Other projects that show we open to innovation. We open to doing new things, so we create an environment that gives more and more opportunity. And of course, I want to say that in everything that we do within our system, it is continually enabling and giving opportunity for people to come up with these ideas. I spoke about the innovation during COVID-19. It wasn't the minister, the premier, the head of department, the SG that said, we will deliver medicines, or we will come up with a new operation of schooling, or it comes out of the men and women that work every single day in our departments, who are at the coalface. And we as government have got to make sure, between the politicians and the senior managers, that we create that enabling environment that brings out the best in our system. And that is what I am absolutely committed to. And that is what we are celebrating today, because it's our education department and our teachers, our schools, our system that does that same thing. We create those opportunities and give the best opportunity we can to those in our school system to come out at the top and show us that they can perform and that they can give us these results that we're so proud of. The minister saying, the best bachelor results continuing even despite this year with 43.8% bachelor passes. That's 22,634 matriculants in our system that have actually attained a bachelor pass. Or the 66.6% of our learners that remained in the system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when we started 10 years ago in government, 11 and a half years ago in government, I think we had a retention system of something like 40%. 40% of our learners who started grade 1 ended up in matric. The 66% came from grade 10 to grade 12. And, this is how we push the boundaries of how we create those opportunities. I think about the story that I was told about Apex, and how during this lockdown, the principal at Apex, a school in Elsie's River, at lockdown said, our learners in a no-fee paying school cannot afford to be locked down at home. We can't afford missing 1 day of school. And using apps, innovation, bringing people together, they made sure that during the whole year they never missed a day of school. These are the kind of things that happen in our system. The maths awards that we get, we continue to push those boundaries, those schools that are competing with each other to be recognized in maths. But of course, the minister also spoke about STEM to STEMAC, and of course, that's something that I am really also passionate about. How it's not only about the maths, but it's also about the arts and the agriculture and the coding. It's the STEM, but STEM to STEMAC. These are all areas around our system of creating opportunity for the youth, for young people, to give them the maximum opportunity that they can get in order to make the biggest difference that we can moving forward. In closing, because I think we all need to rather get on with the program of why we are here, and that is to recognize you. But in closing, what I would also like to do is join the minister and thank Tina Singh, Dr. Peter Beets, and of course, S.G. Brown-Schroeder, on your award that you got given by the minister, but also to say to you, on behalf of the citizens of this province, of the people of this country, and of course everyone in the education system. Thank you very much for your dedication, for your passion, and what you have meant to the years and years of matriculants that we've seen come and go across this province. Thank you for that dedication and what you've meant to making a difference. It's really appreciated. And then, last but definitely by no means least, Brent Walters, congratulations. It is really good to see you here. I don't know if you know this, but DG and I had a meeting this morning with your current minister, because this is your new minister. And I don't know if I should say this to you, but she said she feels this new energy and this excitement with this great new challenge that you have taken on. I want to say to you, thank you very much for putting up your hand. You know, that's where it starts. You put up your hand and say, actually, I'm committed to this. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you very much for that energy. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to bring and building on this amazing foundation that these people who've been recognized today have built for you. And I look forward to seeing you here next year with even better results. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Archie Lewis comes up to announce our school winners, I just want to alert you to, don't go away, Archie, I just want to alert you to the fact that there is free Wi-Fi installed here today, and so if you do want to whip out your cell phones, and if you are interested in sharing anything of this awards, please feel free to do so, also of the winners. You're welcome to use the hashtag commit to finish, and or the hashtag NSC. There's no password required, and you feel free to share this event as well. Mr. Archie Lewis, the Deputy Director General for Institutional Development and Coordination, will announce the school winners, and thereafter Dr. Peter Beets, the Deputy Director General for Curriculum and Assessment Management, will announce the learner winners. Mr. Lewis.
Premier, Minister, and all protocol observed, good morning. Goeiemorgen, Molweni. As the SGS indicated, I'm Archie Lewis, the Deputy Director General for Institution Development and Coordination in the department. Whilst it is impossible to honor all schools and all learners in the province, I think it's also appropriate to salute all schools and all teachers and the districts in their absence and district officials who contributed towards the education project in this province. And that education project is encapsulated in the vision of the department, quality education for every child in every classroom, in every school in the province. So thank you to all schools and teachers for their contribution. My awards will basically deal with two categories, that is around improvement, and then secondly around excellence, both in terms of performance and in terms of excellence. In the first category, schools are awarded in terms of improvement in pass rate, greatest increase in the percentage of candidates achieving access to bachelor's degree studies, improvement and excellence in individual subjects, and excellence in academic performance. And the second category, awards are made to all public, independent, and technical schools that achieve excellence in academic performance. And all these schools will receive a certificate. The first category, most improved schools, there are 4 subcategories. And the first subcategory is most improved public schools. Awards will be made to 10 schools, public schools, with 30 or more candidates that have shown the greatest improvement in pass rate over a period of 3 years, 2018 to 2020. And this criteria also include consistency in the number of grade 12s over the 3 years. Now, in the 10th position is Zonnebloem Nest Senior School. In the 9th position, New Eisleben Secondary School. It's a school in Nyanga. In the 8th position, Salt River Secondary School. In the 7th position, out in Mitchells Plain, Strandfontein Secondary School. In the 6th position, in Elsie's River, St. Andrews Secondary School. In the 5th position is Silimela High School. 4th position, going to Kailicha, Harigwala Secondary School. 3rd position, more to the north, Wallace Dean Secondary School. And then in our rural setup, Eden Karoo, Hillcrest Secondary School, in the tweede positie. And then in the first place, C. Zimizela Secondary School. The second subcategory goes to most improved technical high schools. There is only one, and that award goes to C. Zimizela Secondary School. The third subcategory, greatest increase in the percentage of bachelor passes. The awards will be made to 10 schools with 30 or more candidates that have shown the greatest increase in the percentage of candidates achieving access to bachelor's degree passes studies over a 3-year period, again 2018 to 2020. But also this criteria include consistency in the number of grade 12 candidates over the 3-year period from 2018 to 2020. In die 10de posisie, hoërskool president. In die 9de plek, Woester Gymnasium. In die 8ste plek, Plein Boland, Hoërskool Laborie. In the 7th place, Kylemore High School. In die 6de posisie, Hoërskool Swartberg. In die 5de plek, Hoërskool Albertinia. In die 4de plek, Hoërskool Langenhoven. In die 3de plek, waarna die premier ook verwys het, waar die ons minister verwys het, Elshout Sekondêre Skool in Elsiersrivier. En dan een van ons spesiale skole in die 2de plek, Jan Kriel Skool. And then in this subcategory, in the first place, Zonnebloem Nest Senior Secondary. And then we go to the subcategory of improvement and excellence in individual subjects. Firstly, for improvement in mathematics, this is awarded to one school in the province that obtained the highest score when combining a few variables, and those are a change in percentage of candidates in the cohort taking mathematics, a change in the pass rate for mathematics, a change in the subject average for mathematics and a change in the number of candidates taking mathematics. And of course, these schools have a minimum of 30 candidates. For improvement in mathematics, Kuilsrivier, Sonacre High School. And then for improvement in home languages, all 3 home languages of the province, this is awarded to one school in the province that showed the greatest improvement in the average for English home language, Afrikaans, Huistaal, and Xhosa home language in 2020 compared to subject averages in 2019. Again, schools with a minimum of 30 candidates. For improvement in English home language, Heideveld Secondary School. For improvement in Afrikaans, Huistaal, Sarepta Secondary School. And then improvement in Xhosa home language, Masi Phumelele High School. And then we look at excellence in the very same subjects. The first one was improvement in the subjects, and now we are looking at excellence in these subjects. For mathematics and physical science, this is awarded to one school in the province that obtained the highest score when combining the following: the percentage of candidates in the cohort taking mathematics and physical science as a combination, the pass rate for mathematics and physical science, the subject average for mathematics and physical sciences, and the number of candidates taking mathematics and physical sciences, weighting the same for all criteria. For excellence in mathematics, Diocesan College. And then for excellence in physical sciences, Claremont High School. So they are not combined, they are separate. Then for excellence in home languages, this is awarded to one school in the province that produced the highest pass rate in English home language, Afrikaans home language, and Xhosa home language in 2020, and had the highest average in English home language, Afrikaans home language, and Xhosa home language in 2020, and the weighting of 50% for each of the 2 criteria. For excellence in English home language, Herschel Girls School. Excellence in Afrikaans home language, Hoër Meisieskool Bloemhof. And excellence in Xhosa home language, the Center of Science and Technology in Khayelitsha. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the second category is excellence in academic performance. In this category, awards are presented to the top 2 technical schools, the top 2 schools in the province with an NSC enrollment of less than 30 candidates, and the top 20 schools with 30 or more candidates that have achieved excellence in academic results in 2020. First one is the top 2 technical high schools, and they are in second position, Langenhoven Gymnasium, en dan in Worcester, Hoër Technische Skool Drosdey. The top 2 schools with an NSC enrollment with less than 30 candidates. In the second place, Somerset West Private School. And in the first place, Cannons Creek Independent School. And then the last subcategory within this category are the top 20 schools in the province, with an NSC enrollment of 30 or more candidates, including independent schools, that have achieved excellence in academic results in 2020. And these 20 schools are in the 20th position, Hoërskool Stellenberg. In the 19th position, Parel Valley High School. In die 18de posisie, Hoërskool DF Malan. 17th position, Parklands College. Posisie nummer 16, die Hoër Meisieskool La Rochelle. In the 15th position, Wynberg Girls High School. Position number 14, Springfield Convent of the Holy Rosary. In the 13th position, I don't see any boys' schools here. It's 13th is Paarl Girls High School. Dr. Beets, miskien moet ons terug aan skool toe. In the 12th position, the South African College High School. In the 11th position, Paul Roos Gymnasium. En dan net asof het lyk asof ons momentum kry, in the 10th position, Ranish Girls High School. In the 9th position, Claremont High School. In the 8th position, in the Athlone area, Star College, Bridgetown. In the 7th position, Herslia High School. In the 6th position, Rustenburg Girls High School. In the 5th position, Rondebosch Boys High School. En weer eens, net as het lyk asof ons momentum kry, in the 4th position, Hoër Meisieskool Bloemhof. And ladies and gentlemen, now we are at the 3 top schools. In the 3rd position, Diocesan College. In the 2nd position, Herschel Girls School. And then in the 1st position in our 2020 NSC results, Westerford High School. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Premier. Morning, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. My name is Peter Beets. I am the Deputy Director General for Curriculum and Assessment Management. In this segment of the ceremony, awards will be presented to candidates in the following categories. Firstly, for best performance in subjects. Secondly, outstanding performance while experiencing barriers to learning. Thirdly, our special ministerial awards. And then finally, the 40 candidates in the Western Cape Education Department on the merit list. Just a kind reminder to all our recipients here today to come up along this aisle, walk in front of the lectern, if you come up here, in front of the lectern, to receive your certificate. Have a photograph taken, and then go back to your seat down the aisle on the far side. SG and Minister and Premier, maybe if I can just request that you come to the front. There will be a little while before our first candidate comes, but if you can take positions, I will appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, in the first category, as I've said, an award will be made to candidates who scored the highest mark out of a total of 300 in specific subjects. Each candidate will receive 6,000 rand and a certificate. I will indicate the subject, the school attended, the marks obtained, and thereafter the name of the candidate. For visual arts from Herschel Girls' School with 300 out of 300 marks, Jacqueline Doe. No, they are not here. For visual arts from Herschel Girls' School, again with 300 marks, Rain Halverson. For visual arts from Hersleya High School, also with 300 marks, Eva Pazaitis. For visual arts from Westerford High School, with 300 marks, Carolina Taylor Brandt. For visual arts from Westerford High School, with 300 marks, Holly Morford Smith. For visual arts from Westerford High School, with 300 marks, Matthew Suter. For visual arts from Westerford High School, with 300 marks, Tom Falconer. For visual arts from Springfield Convent of the Holy Rosary, with 300 marks, Emma Dorr. For visual arts from Fischhoek High School, with 300 marks, Chloe van Wyk. For visual arts from Fischhoek High School, with 300 marks, Olivia Black. For visual arts from Westerford High School, with 300 marks, Tessa van Skyk. And then the last candidate for visual arts from Herschel Girls' School, with 300 marks, Shannon Pittman. Vir rekenaar toepassingstegnologie van Paul Roos Gymnasium met 289 punte, Michiel Keen. Vir rekenaar toepassingstegnologie ook van Paul Roos Gymnasium met 289 punte, Philip Botha. For South African Sign Language from Delabat School with 222 marks, Jobani Yemani. For Mathematical Literacy from Princeton Secondary School with 300 out of 300 marks, Thurston Maduna. Vir rekeningkunde van Bloemhof Meisieskool met 298 punte, Sibby Smith. Nou ons eerste ontvanger hier vandag. For Dramatic Arts from Edgemead High School with 299 marks, Tau Olivier. Is Tau not here? Tau, you are welcome. Please come down. Good. For Information Technology from Diocesan College with 299 marks, Christopher Dicey. Vir Afrikaans huistaal van Hoërskool Hermanus met 290 punte, Mia Burgess. For English Home Language from Herschel Girls School with 292 marks, Michaela Todd. For Xhosa Home Language from Manzim Tombu Secondary School with 272 marks, Ayabukwa Nombela. For Physical Sciences from Sopumelela Secondary School with 300 marks out of 300, Sipusetu Limane. For Mathematics from Rondebosch Boys High School with 300 marks, Veren Naidu. Vir wiskunde van Hoërskool Hermanus met 300 punte, Dani Gous. For Mathematics from Herzliya High School with 300 marks, Gia Hassan. For mathematics from Paul Roos Gymnasium with 300 marks, Ayrton Gonzalez. Ladies and gentlemen, our next category is Excellence Despite Barriers to Learning. Awards will be presented to 2 candidates. Each candidate will receive 10,000 rand and a certificate. The first award goes to, from Tafelberg School, Kaylin Schaffer. Dames en here, die tweede toekenning in hierdie kategorie gaan aan van Jan Kriel Skool, Sonja Jonkers. Seated now. Yeah. Is he? Our next category is the Special Ministerial Awards for candidates who have succeeded despite facing challenging circumstances. The Western Cape Education Department is aware that every year there are numerous candidates who achieve excellent academic results in the face of tremendous hardship, ill health, and personal obstacles. We are struck by the courage and fortitude displayed by many candidates, families, and teachers in achieving monumental educational and life goals. This year, Minister Seyfo wishes to recognize 2 candidates who exemplify the exceptional courage and determination shown to achieve their success. The 2 recipients of these awards will each receive 10,000 rand and a certificate. Our first recipient has had to overcome educational challenges since his first day at school. Despite his home language being Xhosa, he was enrolled in an Afrikaans class as the other classes were full, and he struggled as a result, eventually having to repeat grade 1. He has overcome the difficulties of living in unsafe and unhealthy conditions and negative influences from some of his peers. In grade 10, his mother was very ill, and he had to divide his time between schoolwork and caring for his 2 siblings. His teacher explains that he followed an intensive study program from grade 11, even giving up his school holiday at the end of 2019 to do schoolwork. He made good use of the revision materials from the Western Cape Education Department in his matric year and attended revision classes even though they were not compulsory. Well, his hard work paid off. He achieved an A aggregate overall and passed all his subjects with distinctions. And he does not intend to stop here, because in his own words, it is not about making it, it is about maintaining it. It is now my pleasure to call on Minister Schaefer to come forward to present her special ministerial awards. Die eerste ministeriële toekenning gaan aan van Western Sekondêre Skool, Tandilwethu Klaas. Ladies and gentlemen, while we have all become far more aware of COVID-19 as an illness this year, our second recipient has had to face an entirely different and devastating illness. She was diagnosed with a rare cancer in her grade 8 year and had to undergo surgery to remove a malignant tumor, during which she has lost a kidney, as well as had to undergo chemotherapy. She returned to school for a grade 9 year, facing the challenge of coping with schoolwork on top of her illness. She has also faced the trauma of seeing other cancer patients she befriended in hospital lose their battles with cancer. But a teacher describes her as an emotionally strong person who made up her mind to beat her disease. Despite being more at risk during the pandemic than others during her matric year, she continued to attend school regularly and worked hard to complete her school career. She achieved 3 distinctions in business studies, in mathematical literacy, and in life orientation, and has been accepted for a BCom degree at the University of the Western Cape this year. She definitely demonstrates exactly what perseverance means and has a bright future ahead of her. This ministerial award goes to, from South Peninsula High School, Erin O'Connor. Ladies and gentlemen, in our final group of awards, we look at the category Excellent Achievement across the province, which also includes independent schools. Here we recognize 40 candidates on the Western Cape Education Department merit list. In terms of 2 categories, according to the marks obtained in their best 6 subjects that fulfill the requirements for the award of a national senior certificate, and that includes 2 languages, mathematics, and 3 other subjects, including life orientation, and the other category according to the same criteria from disadvantaged contexts and new Western Cape Education Department schools. Please note that our awardees in this category will be presented alphabetically according to surnames, except for the top 5 candidates. Each awardee receives 10,000 Rand and a certificate. We now call on Premier Windy, on Minister Schaefer, and our Head of Education, Mr. Schroeder, to move forward. Van Hoërskool D.F. Malan, Ila Alberts. From Unchukumu Secondary School, Nelson Bila. From Worcester Gymnasium, Simone Botha. From Rondebosch Boys High School, Stefan Brandijk. From Paul Roos Gymnasium, Bernard Kombrink. From Diocesan College, Christopher Dicey. Van Hoërskool Charlie Hofmeyer, Davenicia Douris. Van Hoërskool Outeniqua, Raude Ferreira. From Claremont High School, Raisa Fervery. Van Hoërskool Hermanus, Dani Gous. From Westerford High School, Kaylin Grohl. From Fairmont High School, Amy Hine. From Rustenburg Girls High School, Nika Hofmeyer. Van Renish Girls High School, Johanna Holm. From South Peninsula High School, Donica Jacobs. And then again from South Peninsula High School, Tharwa Joseph. From Kemps Bay High School, Francois Kemp. From Fairmont High School, Matthew Keys. From Pandulwazi High School, Tsima Katazazile. Van Hoërskool Parelvallei, Daniel Klein. Van Paul Roods Gymnasium, Michiel Kien. From Supumelela Secondary School, Sipusetu Limane. From Supumelela Secondary School, Alake Mfutwana. From Manzamtombo Secondary School, Ayabukwa Nombela. From Insukumu Secondary School, Tabisu Kapetsu. From Westerford High School, Tanver Ranshot. Van Hoërskool Saubra, Megan Roberts. Van Moor Meisieskool Bloemhof, Sibby Smith. From Oscar Mpeta Secondary School, Lisikania Stephen. From Fishhook High School, Grace Stewart. From Parklands College, Keegan Stradom. From South Peninsula High School, Lindiwe Trout Naidu. Van Hoërskool Tygerberg, Karina van der Kolf. Van Hoër Meisieskool Bloemhof, Simon van der Westhuizen. From Herschel Girls High School, Mia Versveld. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we now get to the top 5 positions in the province. In the 5th place, from Diocesan College, Andrew Lowe. In the 4th place, from Westerford High School, Hannah Todd. In die 3de plek, from Melkbos High School, Renske Strauss. In die tweede plek van Hoërskool Outeniqua, Sonika Roo. And now the top candidate in the Western Cape, from Diocesan College, Daniel van Nimwegen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, and thank you, Dr. Beets, also for your last one, Dr. Beets. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to near the close of our 2020 NSC Awards function. It is worth noting that of the top 20 schools, 12 of the top 20 schools were single-gender schools. For a while, I've indicated that I think that means something, and I think it is worth a bit of deeper research. I've also asked over the last number of years for schools that are large enough to consider in the high schools separating boys and girls in classes. And partly that is because I taught at a boys' school myself for a number of years, and so I understand the dynamics of boys in a boys' school. And I think it is worthwhile reflecting on the classroom dynamics if it were able to have single gender combinations or single gender streams. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that all of you will wish to join me in congratulating the excellent schools and especially our excellent learners. We continue to be proud of them. As I watched through today's events, I was saddened by the fact that not everyone could be here. But as I'd indicated at the beginning, the quality of this province today was showcased by the proxy of those that were here. Congratulations to the parents, to the teachers, to the learners, and to the schools. We are justly proud of your achievements under the most challenging conditions. Colleagues, those of you that are here, I want to invite all the candidates for a photograph with masks on the step outside immediately after this. Please move there quickly. Mr. Jonkers, if you will also just take your daughter, please, to the staircase outside. We again want to thank all the sponsors for their very generous support to this event, and particularly for devices in the technological age that we have for the last number of years been able to award a number of our learners. Thank you to MTN Foundation, thank you to Mustech South Africa and to Pearson South Africa for your generous donations of laptops and tablets. All school awards will be delivered to schools by the district, and arrangements will be made for learners receiving awards to collect their awards in the coming week. We request that all of you that are here today move out to my right, male left-hand side as you are facing me, where you will also be able to collect light refreshments that are pre-packed to consume on your journey home. We thank you for coming here today under the strange circumstances. We thank all of you for attending this award event, whether physically or whether remotely. May you all have a great 2021, despite the need for agile adaptations and innovative responses to the challenges that we will still face in this year. I'm proud of the way that the Western Cape Education Department schools and schools in the Western Cape have adapted to these challenges in the year that has gone. May it continue so in this year, and may we continue to rise and strive for excellence rather than the expectations of mediocrity. Thank you, and safely home.